Hi everyone, Keisha Howard here, and I am so excited to speak to the person that we're about to speak to. Uh, Aaron Boulding is the director of content strategy at PubG, but his whole career has consisted of being in tech, production, and video games. He's one of the first people who actually got hired in the esports capacity at ESPN, and so he knows from a very long period of time, not a very long, but a substantial amount of time, like what this industry has looked like and what the community of gamers has looked like. And I'm just really excited to speak to you today. So thank you for, spending some time with me. I am really excited to get some of those insights that you have.
Well, Keisha, it's great to be with you, and I'm so happy that you're doing this. It's super important, and any part I can play in helping you do what you do, I'm there. It's an honor.
I appreciate that so much. Admittedly, this is, even though most people might know of me, this is like actually my first time trying to do something in this particular format. So I definitely appreciate that a lot. So let's get started. Well, before we really get started, let's acknowledge the current events of 2020. It's been a very challenging year for many of us. And, before we pretend like everything is awesome, how have you been coping with, this roller coaster that the first 6 months has been?
Yeah, I think I'm like a lot of people where I'm still in it. I'm still in the middle of it. That part where you take a pause and look back and see how you've changed from that point to this point. I haven't really done that. I don't know how healthy that is or not, but this year has been consistent with throwing new challenges at us, shall we say, and giving us new things to think about, new things to deal with, right? Between the pandemic and all of the ripple effects of that, and then the social awakening and all the ripple effects of that. It's manifesting lots of different ways, right? So the short answer is I don't know how I've been coping. Just, I was here yesterday, I'm here today. I'll call that a win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that right now just surviving and keeping your sanity is a huge win here.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, I'm super into video games and technology, and I think that, and not that I think, but I know that that's where we're going. That's where we're heading in our future. So, but you've known that, apparently. You've known that for quite some time. You've advocated for the gamer lifestyle. You've been in the esports community for a significant period of time. What was it that motivated you to even be in this space to begin with?
It's funny. I wish I could say it was something really profound, but when I started at IGN as part of the founding group of editorial staff there, it really was just taking the experiences that we knew people were having around video games and professionalizing and popularizing it. So that is to say, you're talking about a group of people who'd grown up playing Super Mario Brothers, playing Street Fighter, playing sports games on the Sega Genesis with family, with siblings, with friends, for hours at a time gathered around a television, right? Like that was the experience we were drawing from. And so when it came time to take that culture and apply it to new games, this modern contemporary video game industry that we have now, that's where we were coming from. We knew that those experiences, that's what it was all about, the emotions, the time and place where you were. Very similar to how music can take you back to a certain time and place, very similar to how sense and taste, your sense of smell and your sense of taste can take you back to a very specific time. We knew and felt and shared with each other these video game experiences where, man, when I beat this level, I remember I was with so-and-so's house using this controller and his mom said this. That's what we were bringing to the table. And we were doing things that didn't have a name in terms of styles of content. What's now known as social media, what's now known as branded content, what's now known as building your brand as an individual person with the game industry. We were doing that stuff before it had a name. So it really came from a very simple place of when we talk about at this time, when we talk about Grand Theft Auto 2, when we talk about the original Halo Combat Evolved. When we talk about these games, we're coming at from this perspective of we know how people are going to play this up. We know what they're going to react to and how they're going to talk about it. So let's package it up, present it, and talk about this stuff in the same way, and build that rapport and really cover that news from that perspective. And we just went from there. So how I got from there to here, not really sure, but it's been some version of that the whole time.
I mean, that's super impressive that you were able to have the foresight to see that there was something happening there, right? You know, not all of us can like see it before it happens. We kind of jump on the trend afterwards. With that being said, you know, one of the experiences that I've had, you know, I started the organization SugarGamers 11 years ago. And in those 11 years, it was pre-Gamergate, pre-Me Too, pre-Black Lives Matters. And it was a lot to like push through that industry. So I know you started even earlier than I did. How did you, you know, like deal with possibly being underestimated, overlooked, looked down upon? Like, how did you deal with some of the things that may have been thrown your way while you were navigating this space?
Well, first, it's not past tense, right? It never stops. And I can only share.
It's terrible.
Yeah, but I can only share it this way, and it's where I'm from, how I'm built, right? It's what I got from my dad. He prepared me. He prepared me for as much as he could for the life that he knew I was going to have as a professional, as a Black man, as everything that goes with that duality, right? And that's how we describe it. It's a duality. Again, I'll just speak for myself. I won't speak for you, but I occupy two spaces, two lanes at the same time. And as you mature, you get better at them. So there's a lot of comedians have a different use a euphemism, but you know, there's you speak job interview and you speak hood. You speak professionally and handle yourself professionally, and you're also yourself at home, right? And so I learned from a very early age to just embrace that and get good at both and appreciate both and develop skills in both arenas. Sometimes one gets a little ahead of the other. That creates its own opportunities and challenges, but that's really what I got from my dad, and it's what I saw in my family. You know, my family is pretty diverse and pretty dynamic, and so we taught each other. I was taught how to do that. I can see how not having that education, that type of education growing up, could be a challenge. But you know, you're talking about I have, you know, an aunt who was a poet and a playwright, in addition to being a teacher and raising a whole bunch of kids, my cousins. I've got an uncle, fluent in Russian, multiple PhDs, was part of the social awareness movements that happened in the 60s. I've got my direct line, my dad, who taught me everything else, basically, how to be professional, how to advance. So took all that stuff, didn't appreciate that as I was coming up, like a lot of young people. But then as I became an adult, it was everything. So that's how I got it. That's how I've dealt with the some of the challenges. Hasn't been easy. I don't mean to reduce it and be like, oh, I've got this locked. Not at all. It's a consistent battle.
For those of you out there, there's a word for what he just described. And, you know, of course, me and Aaron know what that phrase is, but it's called code switching. And it's something that you're taught to do and you have to do it. Like, if you don't know how to code switch, it makes a difference between like you being able to be successful or not. And I don't know how to quite describe how it feels to have to do it or to be so accustomed to doing it that you don't even realize you're doing it anymore. It's interesting.
Yeah, and it's a matter of when you learn it, right? So you're going to learn to code switch as a Black person in the United States. It's just a matter of whether you learn it in time to do what you want to do when you want to do it. That's how I've looked at it.
Well, I mean, how do you? We're all talking about it now. Like all the businesses and even individuals are being extremely introspective and how they want to move forward to solve these problems. I mean, and you in your position right now, you're even probably having to think about like how to move beyond the disparity issues that we have in this industry and beyond. And what do you think are some of the ways we can do that, or even think about it or contextualize it?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's everything right now, right? Like this moment is so rare. It's hopefully once in a lifetime moment where eyes are open, ears are open, hearts are a little bit more open. And it's tough. And I'll focus on the Black community. It's tough on us, but for reasons that maybe not everyone is aware of, right? So it's in this moment where the mainstream society will say, is listening. What do we have to say? How do we get the most out of it? And the challenge is this. I'm in that group of people that to my roots, I feel that the scourge of racism, going as far back as it goes, it's not a problem that our community is in position to solve.
I mean,
Yeah, it's not a position to solve. It's not something that we set up, maintain, propagated, spread around the world. It just isn't. And I'm talking about the true definition of that word, racism, right? Not the one that you hear on your local news every other night, not the one that you read in most newspapers, but the real definition, which includes this element of power, includes this inherent belief in inferiority, and the active measures to do it. That's the key part. You have to have the institutions to actually execute this stuff. So combating all that, eradicating it, erasing it, dealing with it, it's not something for our community to solve, but we have to have some voice in this moment right now, right? So it's almost like, this is a terrible analogy, but it's almost like, hey, you want to get rid of this? Now's your chance. How do we get rid of it? And it's kind of like, that's an unfair responsibility. But at the same time, you want to say something. You want to be careful. So that's what this moment calls for. And I'm not saying I know what the answer is. I mean, I'm getting through it bit by bit, day by day, one foot in front of the other, just like everyone else. But I think the way forward is to do what we've always said we want other people to do, which is pause in the moment, listen to your heart, and express yourself as clearly and as concisely as you can in that moment for whatever the subject matter is. That's the best we can do. That's what it's going to take to sustain whatever change we come up with. But right now, if, I don't know, your local politician, your local police chief, your local, I don't know, country club president, whatever your challenge is, if they come up and you said, hey, what can I do right now? In that moment, speak from your heart. And if your heart is telling you to curse them out or say something they're not going to understand, but it's genuine, then that's what it calls for. Like that, it's going to continue to be messy. It's going to continue to be hard. It's going to continue to hurt. But being comfortable in that hurt, being comfortable in that discomfort, that's what it's going to take. I'm convinced of that. And so, staying in the process, staying with the clunkiness of it all, that's what we got to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to prescribe anything for anybody, but that's what I'm going to do.
I mean, I think that what you're doing is authentic, really. I mean, it's strange to have built your life with that message in all of your actions, and then all of a sudden be on a platform to articulate that now. It's like you've lived your whole life like, hey, guys, I'm here and I have things to contribute, equal to you. And now, after all this time, it's like, all right, what is it?
Yeah.
Well, as gamers, right, I think that gamers have the unique ability to immerse themselves into worlds that don't exist yet. They're imaginative, they're problem solvers. So like we're in the perfect industry to really progress forward. And with that being said, like what is your hope? Like right now we're in the now, like yeah, it's hard. But what does that look like when it's not hard anymore? Like what is your hope that this will be in like the next year or two?
I'll put it as simple as I can. We have to make it so that we all reach to define and understand the tentacles of racism and that we very simply make it uncool. It's uncool anymore to operate like that. That's what it takes. That's what our modern connected society is good at, defining what's cool and what isn't. That's what youth culture is very good at, defining what's cool and what isn't. In a weird way, that's what the nerd community, and I use that as a term of endearment, very good at defining what's cool and what isn't, getting into those details like you just said. I think that's what it takes. It's not a switch of the flip to make it happen, but it is a switch of the flip to go in that direction, to decide, you know what, we got to make this uncool so that people don't want to do it, so that doing something, making a joke about someone who wears a hat because of religious significance, that's not funny. That's not something to mess with. And it's across the board. We all understand that like we know our own names. That's what it takes. And the decision to go in that direction can be instant. The steps we're going to take are going to be clumsy. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be hurt. There's going to be pain. There's going to be conversations. There's going to be understanding. But that willpower to head in that direction, that's what it takes. That's what this moment, hopefully, is going to give us.
Well, I mean, I have some similar hopes that we will not stop having this conversation and it will amount to something positive and progressive. But you know, Aaron, that people gonna click on this interview and they gonna see that you're the director of content strategy at PubG. So they went through all this learning process, which was uncomfortable. Yeah. But like, maybe I can give them a nugget. Can you tell me something about what's happening in the PubG world? So people are just like, you tricked me. I thought this was going to be
Oh, okay. What's your headline? Let's see. I can give headlines. Let's see. So, you know, we're on the seasonal system. We got a new season coming up soon. We're on season 7 now. Let's see. The new season is going to be, how do we say this? What's been out there already? It's going to be somewhere we've been before, but it's going to be different.
Oh my God.
No? That's not juicy enough? Here we go.
Okay, let's try this again.
People are playing season 7 now. We introduced the train system. First time in Battle Royale. No one likes to talk about that. But think about, use your imagination, what comes after that. Using that system, what else can we do using that DNA of a train system? I'll leave it at that. You can speculate. I'll let you speculate on what that could be.
All right. I'm pretty sure somebody will speculate in the comments.
You're pretty sharp. Your audience is pretty sharp. You can guess.
All right. Well, thank you for that little nugget. But really thank you for just being very honest and authentic in this moment, because as much as all of us want to have fun right now, it is really important to be introspective about how you want to move forward as a person, as a business, as a brand. And this is the time to do it. So thank you for sharing your experience and sharing your perspective and your time, Aaron. I really appreciate that.
Well, again, I appreciate you having me. I didn't mean to get up on my little soapbox and preach as much as I did. Video games is still, the best art, science, and business I can think to be a part of. So this stuff is fun, but we bring ourselves into those spaces. So this is a time to change ourselves, make those spaces a little better.
Well, thank you. And with that, is there anything that we can do to help or contribute to your future success?
Sure. I mean, right now, if those who can throw a little money at some of these great organizations that are doing great work, right now, Campaign Zero is a good one. The Know Your Rights campaign, Know Your Rights Camp. Those are all great organizations that are doing good stuff. I'm gonna do what I can to support. If you can't do that, just follow what's in your heart. We all know when we were little, treat others the way you want to be treated. All that good stuff, it still works. It still applies. Just get out of your own space, get out of your own head, and try to stay there a little while. That's all I can ask. That will help me, put it that way.
Well, I appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure the people who tune in for this particular interview will too. So thank you. And I will be following you to see what's going to happen with this train system on PubG.
Thank you, Keisha.
All right. Bye.